If you want the most capable, heavy-duty off-road pickup trucks, it's going to be one of these two. The Ford Super Duty with the Tremor package, or the Ram Power Wagon. Woo!
Now, besides their rough and tumble names, in this video we'll tell you everything you need to know about both pickups and which one is right for your needs.
As always, like, comment, subscribe, and for more information, click the links below to visit Edmunds and find your perfect truck, SUV, or car.
Have 35-inch tires ever looked so small? That seems like an insane thing to say about a factory truck, but such is the power of Tremor, an outlandish pickup truck no matter how you look at it. $4,000 gets you the Tremor package on an F-250 or F-350 on any trim from an XLT all the way up to this Platinum. And these things are decked out. Off the lot, you get a 2-inch front lift, bigger shocks, and there's a lot of window dressing on this truck, and we can argue all day about off-road capabilities, but the thing that should really worry Ram is the 35-inch tires and the upgraded 7.3-liter V8 engine standard. Of course, this particular truck comes with the crown jewel, a 6.7-liter turbo diesel V8 engine, making 475 horsepower and 1,050 pound-feet of torque. Let me say that again, 1,050 pound-feet of torque. Now, you have a lot more choice in the Tremor than you do in the Power Wagon, but you need to know that it comes at a steep cost. The diesel engine alone is a $10,000 option, and this particular truck goes for 87 grand. 87,000 for a pickup truck. We need to know if it lives up to that lofty listing.
The Power Wagon is a little bit different. You can only get it with the 6.4-liter V8. No diesel here. Ram says it's too heavy and it won't fit with the front winch. Never mind that on the Ford, you can get that winch with either the 7.3-liter V8 or their diesel, but it is optional. It's standard on the Ram and it'll cost you $3 grand with the Tremor. Some other off-road goodies you get with the Power Wagon include the front and rear locking differentials and a front disconnecting stabilizer bar. There's also the usual skid plates for the transfer case and the fuel tank, as well as 33-inch tires on 17-inch wheels. Now, the least expensive Power Wagon you can get, the base one, is around $55,000, unless you start digging into the order guide. And you can see that you can get a tradesman, equip the Power Wagon package, and you've got a truck that's closer to $50,000. The cheapest version of the Tremor you can get is $53,000. Now, with all that said, this truck does bump right up against $70,000 the way it's equipped, but that's still nearly 20 grand less than that Super Duty.
But how much torque does it have?
Not as much. No one cares about torque. We're going to talk about transfer cases later.
This Platinum trim really shows the full potential of the Super Duty interior. You've got big, wide, cushy leather seats that are heated, cooled, and have a massage function, and then there are doodads everywhere. There's a smartphone charging station, trailer backup assist, trailer gain, transfer case, lane keep assist, tons of camera angles, and oh yeah, a power sunroof. And then everything's power adjustable too, from the steering wheel to the pedals and the mirrors. This is a digital truck paradise, but it may be a bit disconcerting if you're more of an analog person. There are a few areas for improvement. It lacks a lot of the interesting storage solutions and cubbies that the Ram has in abundance. But did somebody say floor storage? In total though, the tech-heavy Tremor is really flashy and exciting, but it feels like the Ram got the basics right. That truck is just a little more approachable and easy to live with.
The Ram 2500 is a class leader for a lot of reasons. One of those is the interior quality. But before we go inside, I want to show you a feature that I would absolutely get if I were buying this truck with my money, and that is the Ram box. Essentially, it's a couple trunks on either side of the bed that you can fit all kinds of items in. Stuff like tow ball hitches, tow straps, tow hitches, inflator kits, and there's even a charge port for when you're on the go. Ram box! There's a $17,000 price gap between these two trucks, but that doesn't mean this Ram is lacking in the interior department. It's got great materials, and it's got stuff like heated and ventilated seats in the rear, plenty of power ports and USB ports to plug into, And one of my favorite features is this 12-inch touchscreen. It's one of the best in the business, not just in full-size or heavy-duty trucks. It's super crisp and it looks great on this dash. Plus, there's lots of great storage cubbies for you to put stuff in, plenty of cup holders, places for your smartphone. Bet Ryan's jealous of that. And there's even a spot under the center seat where you can store your laptop. Now, the only drawback really with the Ram's interior is the steering wheel. It tilts, but it doesn't telescope, so finding an ideal driving position might be tough.
Enough of all that. It's time to put these trucks on equal ground, so we're gonna hit the trail. I'm especially eager, of course, to check out this 1,050 pound-feet of torque and see how it does out there.
Front rear locking diffs, smart storage solutions, 12-inch screen.
1,050 pound-feet of torque. So, when things get bumpy, here's what the Ford has to offer. The Tremor gets a custom front bumper compared with other Super Duties. That gives it a really good approach angle. In fact, it's better than the Power Wagons back there. But this truck is long. It's 11 inches longer than the Ram in total. We're more concerned about the Tremor on some of these trails than we are about the Power Wagon. And frankly, making it through some of them safely could be a challenge. But let's see how it handles a decline like this. Approach is no issue. We should hit level ground here pretty soon. But as we get towards the back, not sure. Nope, it's fine.
There are a lot of differences between these trucks, but one of the things that sets the Ram apart from the Ford is the fact that it's got a disconnecting front stabilizer bar. So when you disconnect that stabilizer or sway or anti-roll bar, whatever you want to call it, what happens is it allows for more off-road articulation. So I can get over bigger obstacles without losing traction in one of my tires. And traction is our friend. The other big difference up front is the locking front differential. The Ford's got a limited slip, which is good, but this one is a full locker, front and rear. And when you have a locking differential, what it does is ties the two wheels together, so essentially they spin as one. That's also good for off-roading because you want to make sure you have traction even if you do eventually exceed the ability of your articulation and pop that wheel up off the ground.
Here's an area where the Power Wagon will definitely be better suited, but I think the Tremor can handle it pretty well. It's got these big tires, but we are pretty high up. Let me get on the truck info page. Oh, we are rocking for sure. We are totally rocking. The truck is rocking back and forth. I think we've got at least one wheel off. Yeah, we're at a 16 degrees right now, according to the off-road gauge. And that works pretty well. One small bump and we're out of there.
So if one wheel has to go higher than the other, what you have here is the effect of articulation not being enough. And now I'm spinning a tire and I'm bouncing around a little bit. I can feel my right rear tire is off the ground. So I am going to back up and engage my sway bar disconnect, or disengage my sway bar, whatever. Do the same thing. Sway bar disconnected. Back up the hill I go, and I am going much further. Now I don't have the lockers engaged yet, but if I did, I could probably make it over this weird sideways hill I'm on. It's pretty rad.
Since we have this super scientific test set up, I'm going to take a very measured, proper approach. Hey guys, how does that look? I think I got a wheel up.
So even though there's not a fully disconnectable front sway bar in the Tremor like there is in the Ram, that thinner version that they've equipped here works pretty well and will get you through some hairy stuff. Oh, man. There's that articulation at work.
Here's the thing about turning these HD trucks around on a trail, it's like trying to turn a yacht around in a swimming pool. These things are huge.
Surround view camera test. Ooh. I love that you get a ton of different camera views. So everything comes with a camera now, but if you only have one view or a pretty limited scope, then in situations like this, it doesn't really help that much. But I've got a ton of different views. I can see every angle. Just might take a couple of turns, but you're out of a sticky situation pretty quickly. So while it may not match the figures that the Ram has, the Tremor can do some pretty impressive off-roading. You're just going to have a bumpy ride. That's one of the trade-offs you get here for the increased towing capacity. Ford stuck with more traditional leaf springs in the back compared with the Ram's coil springs. And the reason they did that is leaf springs are extremely strong and durable. So if you're going for something like a maximum towing capacity rating, like Ford was, that's what you want to go with. The beauty of it is if you want more strength or more towing capability, you just throw more bars in there. And that's one of the reasons you would pay an extra $10,000 for this diesel engine, because it comes with the high capacity trailer tow package. It's great for feeling confident when you've got a huge weight behind you, but with an unladen bed and nothing on the hitch, in this bumpy stuff, you're gonna feel some jitters.
If you were in a bouncy castle and you got dropped from like a helicopter onto a trampoline, that's what it feels like when you're going over bumps in this thing. It's hilarious. Like, you don't feel unsafe. You're still in a bouncy castle. You're not gonna get hurt unless like the bully kid at the party like pushes you out the door, but no one needs to hear about my life experience.
But that's one of the trade-offs, and frankly, a lot of people are going to be fine with that because the Ford is so good at towing. And don't forget, we have an extra 2 inches of lift in the front compared with other Super Duties. So as much as we talk about articulation and departure angles and all this super technical stuff, the Tremor can go almost everywhere the Power Wagon can go. It's really just gonna be that really, really small percentage of heavy rock or boulder crawling where this thing is gonna get hung up. But don't feel like you shouldn't go out on the same trail in a Tremor that you can do in a Power Wagon. You may be a little more uncomfortable, but this truck can handle a lot.
One of the things that is a preference really for me, but I like it much better in the Ram, is this floor shifter. You can just throw it into 4 high or 4 low when you get off-road, and it kind of pins the old school cool factor. Makes you feel like you're in a truck. Whereas the Tremor has a button, so I guess technology for the win or something. Also, this Power Wagon has a better crawl ratio. It is 51:1, while Ryan's diesel Tremor is 44:1. Yes, if you get the F-250 with the 7.3 liter V8, that goes up to 53:1, so it's higher. And yes, he has larger tires, 35s, but if you're comparing the two trucks we have here, I have the better crawl ratio, and that's what matters.
But crawl ratios don't matter when you have 1,050 pound-feet of torque! On top of all that grunt we have under the hood, Ford brings a lot of tech to off-roading with the Tremor. We've got a hill here with a pretty impressive incline, but it's not super difficult, so this is kind of overkill, but I just want to demonstrate how it works. All you have to do is push this button up here, that activates it, okay. And then you want to hit the set button, the same one that you use for cruise control, and it works exactly the same way. And you can move it up in increments of 1 mile an hour, so you can start really slow. So I'll just start off with 1. My feet are off the brake and throttle, and the truck is moving all by itself, so I can just concentrate on the inputs I'm giving into the steering wheel. And this is actually really slow, so let's kick it up to 2, 3, so that incline is getting steeper. We're now at 15 degrees, 16. I can't see anything over the hood in front of me. And we're at the top and leveling off. There's another one that we're gonna come up to. We were actually pretty concerned about the breakover angle on both of these hills, but it's not a problem so far. Let's go back down to 2 because this one has a really steep drop. Here's the breakover part, it's fine. Again, I'm not on the brakes and now we're starting to go down. I'm not on the brakes at all, the truck is doing it itself. We're at 16 degrees, decline 18. I'm not touching the brakes, it's holding itself. 2 miles an hour, set 2. So that's it. It's a very easy system to use. And again, just to keep things in perspective, this is a truck that weighs 4 tons, and this system drove it up that degree of an incline by itself, so I could just focus on the steering and then brought it back down safely. Pretty cool party trick in your Tremor. Is it cheating? Maybe. But does it get you home safely? Yeah, I think so.
All right then, what's next?
Hey, there we go, lockers. Front and rear. Boom, no limited slip here.
Good, you're gonna go slow. You're gonna go over a rock now. You're good, you're good.
Forward camera. I love this.
Easy work, man. Clear on your right. Light work, baby.
Too easy. Locking diffs, bro.
More driver, more driver, more driver. Cool, straighten out.
Oh. A beep, beep, beep. A beep, beep. A beep, beep.
Killing it. That thing was a lot easier, or handled it a lot better than we thought it was going to. I thought it was going to take a lot of weaving around rocks and stuff, but tons of clearance, no issues at all. I feel excited to see what the Tremor is going to do now, because that handled that pretty easily, and I don't know how if the Tremor is going to be able to do it the same way or not. I'm going to put it into 4 low. Okay, I'm going to lock the rear locker. I'm going to not lock the front locker because I don't have a front locker.
That was easy.
I know he says it's easy, but it feels like I'm really close to everything.
You gonna put in here with this in control? Yes, sir.
Some guys did it with just their foot.
Some guys spent $90,000.
16-degree descent, not touching the brakes. I think we're good. Cool.
You had way more than enough clearance on there, a lot more than I did. Tremor!
One thing that automakers often say when it comes to trucks is, you'll forget you're even driving a diesel engine. That is definitely not the case with this 6.7 liter turbo V8. The sound is very distinctive, and so is the way it drives. You are just barely feathering the throttle because there's so much torque at your disposal, you just don't need very much to get up to speed on the street and even on the highway. But the power delivery is really smooth. It works great in conjunction with the 10-speed transmission, which we haven't always been huge fans of. But there are several different driving modes. There's even an eco mode. And on the way out here, I averaged 21.5 miles per gallon. You're going to get some jitters on the road. Small cracks and bumps are definitely going to be felt through the cabin. But that's the trade-off you get for the amount of towing capacity that you have in the Tremor. But if comfort is much of an issue, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. I would probably just start thinking Power Wagon.
The Ram's coil spring suspension has it lagging behind the Tremor in terms of towing and hauling capability, but there's a trade-off, and that trade-off is comfort. This is a much more comfortable truck on the highway. It's less bouncy, and I would rather take it on a road trip. Now, the Tremor can tow about 15,000 pounds, and this Ram can only tow 10,350. But I still think that's plenty, especially for a truck with all of this off-road capability. That's why I prefer the Ram. Ryan, after a day in the dirt, what do you think of your truck?
I'm pleasantly surprised. I started to get numb to the numbers that I was throwing out. 35-inch tires, 1,050 pound-feet of torque.
We get it.
And I started to list all the things that this truck doesn't have, the front locker and disconnecting front sway bar, and I started to think it was going to be at a big disadvantage. But the truth is, it has so much ground clearance, and the technology really does come in handy. It was a blast out here. I had a lot of fun. The problem is the price is offensive to me on a personal level.
Yeah.
This is still a truck built for towing that's been adapted for off-road use. And if people look at that and say, that's for me, then they're absolutely right, and they should get it. But what was your takeaway?
Look, I was worried about the fact that you had 35s and you have a way higher payload capacity, towing capacity. This truck's faster in a straight line, but I still prefer the Ram. All that off-road tech, the front and rear locking diffs, the disconnecting sway bar up front, and that awesome interior, not to mention the fact that I would pay 20 grand less essentially for this truck than you would for that one. I mean, I'm the kind of idiot.
Yes, you are.
Hey, okay, hold on. That would put a camper shell on a truck and go overlanding. I'd love to live out of something like this and just spend 6 months on the road. But that's not quite appealing enough for me to increase my monthly payments as much as it would over this. The Ram is still the truck for me. What about you?
I hate to say it, but I agree. That's
Yes!
the one.
Ram wins. And as always, click the link below to subscribe, and for more information on both of these trucks, go to edmunds.com and find the perfect truck, SUV, or car for you.